what a feeling to score in the first minute as well as scoring in the last. Welcome to All Talk, All USL Talk. USL covering the latest scores, news, and developments in the second highest division of the United States men's professional soccer system, the USL Championship. I am your host, as always, Vince Galvano. Happy Monday, the last Monday of July. That is July 27, episode 98. Episode 22 of Season 3 of Talk USL. I hope everyone is doing well, and matches, that's really it. Back to business. Bookend drama. Scoring in the first minute. If you're Las Vegas, scoring in the last. If you're Colorado, gut punches on both ends of the spectrum, we can say. But it was relatively a week where it was action, and that was it. Nothing really significant coming in the headlines that at least I saw. More importantly, I think we can see that the West is leading the charge. A lot of W's in the columns for the likes of, San Antonio, Colorado, Orange County, New Mexico. And then topsy-turvy in the East. Besides Tampa, the top 5 teams in the East, they all faced a couple L's this past week as well as midweek action. So really what we'll just do is break down some of the big matches. We had a Miami derby going on between Miami and Tampa Bay. We should say it's a little bit of Florida derby action. We had a little bit of a NorCal going on between Oakland and Sacramento, so we'll talk about those in depth. Relatively straightforward, only 2 0-0 draws over the past week, but I did want to just shout out a little bit my good friend, who, it's tough to say, it's never easy, but I've been grieving this past week big time. I wanted to give a shout out to one of my buddies who I grew up with in childhood and adolescence, although I hadn't been in touch with him in the past couple of years. But my good friend, unfortunately passed, Ryan McDonald, a really, really good friend of mine, passing away at the age of 28 years old. It's hurting big time. So I just wanted to give a shout out to any of you out there who are going through grief. It's always good to reach out, always good to talk, and just make sure that the memories live on. And Ryan was a great guy. He was turned into an NYPD officer towards the tail end of his career. Always a smart person. And also, I hadn't seen him in the past couple of years, and obviously I was going to see him because he was my neighbor growing up, and I'm sure at one point we would have, our paths would have crossed at some point, right? And I was so excited to tell him about the USL, and in particular, definitely that Oklahoma has a team, because Ryan was a proud member of the Comanche Nation tribe of Oklahoma. It's had roots, Native American roots in his heritage, and was even big Boomer Sooner. Oklahoma Sooner fan growing up, and that was sort of always my affiliation with Oklahoma until Tulsa came along, and obviously I had a tremendous season last time around. But it's just it's sad, you have these things in your life that you affiliate with people that have introduced you to those things. So if you're out there and if you're listening from Oklahoma, would just love to hear from you. Really, really cool. He was there back in 2010 when his grandmother passed away. And I'm sure it was a friendly place in Oklahoma. And one thing I would have definitely told him was that, hey, Oklahoma has a soccer team. They're in the second division, because he was also big into soccer, and we just enjoy playing and whatnot. But that's it. Just wanted to give a shout out. It's my airtime. Being a human being, love to shout out things that I'm doing, outside of just watching football. Life always goes on, up and downs all around. I've been on the links a lot, so also trying to get my golf certificate over here in Central Europe, because it's quite big on etiquette, so I'm playing a lot of golf, enjoying that, kind of tapping into my old athlete days when I was a college soccer athlete, and now kind of getting back into something a bit more serious, where I can go out and go out with my girlfriend. We can enjoy the links and so forth, and just get out walking, get out and get some exercise in. So, yep, just taking my little couple minutes there to shout out things going on in my personal life. But back into the USL Championship, we'll talk about goal of the week. It did go to Foster Ajago for week 19/20, 64% of the votes. It was the game against Charleston back on the 18th of July. The Ghanaian forward unleashed a twirling bicycle kick after consecutive headers sent the ball towards the goal where Ajago was waiting. I'm pretty sure that Rubio Rubin will take the cake for doing the half scissor this past week against Jacksonville. That was an amazing goal from him for El Paso. So, I always love when you get some goals. Trevor Amon was on there as well. He recorded that fastest hat trick but only got 4% of the votes. Valentin Noel did get second place there for New Mexico in the match against Lexington. So yeah, that to talk about as well. We should really start with Lexington because I'd say they're kind of on a roll at the moment, turning the form. Only one loss in their last 5, then a win midweek, and then also most recently a draw against FC Tulsa. But midweek against Oakland, Lexington took care of business. Even though Oakland Roots did have the first big chance of that game, Peter Wilson denied from close range by an Oliver Semley save. And then Nick Firmino rattles the post for Lexington right before halftime, this matchup back on Wednesday, July 22nd. It stayed scoreless at the break, but then Goodrum came to the rescue with a goal and assist in the second half, redirecting Firmino's shot home in the 50th to give the lead to Lexington and then help putting the game away on a counterattack in the 63rd. So 2 goals or a goal contribution, 2 goal contributions in the span of 15 minutes. He set up Blaine Ferry for a lifted finish past Oakland's goalkeeper. Danny Trejo nearly pulled one back for Oakland, but Semley came up big again, closing out a 2-0 win. Goodrum at that point had led Lexington past Oakland into the West's top 5, but with the draw against Tulsa this past weekend, they're kind of cutting off that spot where it is in the playoffs and just kind of that mid-table squeeze in the Western Conference, as we typically see from last season too. I believe it was the Western Conference as well. Might have been the East, but I think it was West, where it was just like you only have a couple points that separate that entire table, and it really is the case. Phoenix Rising at the moment, 11th place with 21 points, and check it out. Third place is Colorado Springs with 25 points. So it's a 4-point gap. It makes every game in the West so crucial when those teams are playing at the moment. So you have that going for them. But Goodrum, I think one of his best league performances yet in Lexington colors. 2 goal contributions, did complete 9 out of 10 passes, took 2 shots, created 2 chances in the night. Solid win there. And the other game midweek was Colorado taking on Miami. And this was pretty much, I'd say, straightforward for the Switchbacks, although it took some time to break down Miami. I mean, look at the first half. They piled pressure. They had 9 first-half shots, 51 final third entries, 70% of the possession before halftime. The only thing that was missing was a finish, but they found that reward late. 79th minute, Sam Williams lifted a ball into the box for Corey Bennett. He powered home a header from 6 yards out to make it 1-0. And then Bennett strikes again in the 90th minute after Mazureka, one possession, slipped him through. 2-0 home win for Colorado Springs. Bennett brace pushes Switchbacks past Miami. They finished the night with 71 final third entries and also another clean sheet for Colin Shuttler. So dominating territory. Corey Bennett, it was just midweek performances dominated by, star players for each of their respective teams, Philip Goodrum and Corey Bennett there. That's Aaron Burnson with Colorado Springs Switchbacks coverage. Birmingham taking out New Mexico, and they tried to get the match going, not on one occasion, but 2 occasions. Friday night, torrential downpour in Alabama, and they announced that the contest would then be pushed to Saturday night instead of Friday, and it would be moved to a different place in Shelby County, which was Donovan Valley Fields, which was adjacent to the Legion practice facility. So they determined that rescheduling the match was the most responsible course of action to ensure a safe and enjoyable experience. So all tickets purchased for that original match date remained valid for that rescheduled match. And then what happened was more rain continued. After 48 hours, New Mexico returned to Albuquerque matchless. They postponed the match between New Mexico for a second straight day because of the unplayable field oversaturated by rain. Teams were supposed to play on Friday. Thunderstorm produced over 1.5 inches of rain, and then rain continued into Saturday, leading to that decision. So league officials said that was in a news release. The match will be rescheduled in the upcoming days. New Mexico had entered the match, which hadn't even taken place, having won 4 straight contests, unbeaten, and is unbeaten in its last 8. So that'll be very interesting. But the next match for New Mexico will be against Colorado at Isotopes Park next weekend. So there you have it. Birmingham and New Mexico not taking place. Then we'll move to NorCal derbies, moving to both derbies, and as well as the Florida derby between Miami and Tampa. But from Oakland and Sacramento, Oakland again, so coming off of this, losing 2-0 against Lexington. They're back home at the Coliseum, but Sacramento really claiming the NorCal derby bragging rights with a convincing 3-1 win. They pulled away late after a tense first half. Mimo Rodriguez opened the scoring with his first goal of the season before Oakland responded almost immediately as Florian Valot rifled home from distance. Really nice goal. Definitely be a goal of the week contender as well. 2 minutes later to level that match. So it's a 19-minute goal for Sacramento, 22nd-minute goal for Oakland. After the break, Sacramento then just kind of took control of the contest despite a brief spell of end-to-end action. And that breakthrough came in when substitute Kyle Edwards reacted quickest after a corner wasn't fully cleared, restoring Republic's lead in the 77th minute. Oakland pushed some numbers forward in search for that equalizer. Edwards strikes again deep into stoppage time, finishing off a Mark Anthony Kaye pass to put the derby beyond doubt. The win extends Sacramento's unbeaten run in Oakland to 6 matches dating back to 2022. Keeps Republic firmly in the crowded Western Conference playoff race with 2 games still in hand. So a late double by substitute Edwards, bringing Derby to light for Republic, and Sacramento deserved all 3 points. I think, they outshot Oakland 14-10, held the Roots just 1 shot at target despite a competitive first half. Kyle Edwards, man, changing the match, 22-minute cameo, introduced around the 70th minute, reacted that quick, the first goal, and was there for the second in stoppage time when Oakland started pushing numbers forward. So props to him, really solid performance, something you can definitely cherish. And we talk about, I should even put it in the show notes, or at least the title, 2 goal contribution games for the likes of Corey Bennett, likes of Edwards, and likes of Philip Goodrum so far. Let's see if we have any more as we cover these upcoming matches. Miami taking on Tampa Bay at Pitbull Stadium. Tampa Bay started the rivalry match at full speed. 10th minute, MD Myers slipped a sharp pass through Miami's high defensive line. Russell Cicerone into space. Cicerone takes 1 touch forward, smashes it past the Curacao goalkeeper at the World Cup, who's tied Tim Howard's record, Eloy Room, to put the Rowdies ahead. Just 2 minutes later, Myers went from provider to scorer, continuing his run into the box after releasing Sebastian Cruz down the right. Cruz centered the ball, and Myers finished into the bottom left corner to make it 2-0 within the opening 12 minutes. So you have MD Myers, add him to the list for 2 goal contributions this week as well. Miami did find a way back into it before halftime. Pedro Dolabella was whistled for a foul in the box. Arnie Rocha converted from the penalty spot in stoppage time. Tampa Bay then took another hit just before the break when Isaiah LaFleur picked up a second yellow card, leaving the Rowdies to defend a 1-goal lead with 10 men for the entirety of the second half. Miami had most of the ball after the restart, finally tied it in the 76th minute when Ndongo found space to cross for who else but the Curacao forward, who's also playing at the World Cup, Jurgen Locadia, buried the equalizer past Jamali Waite, but Tampa answering 4 minutes later through another substitute. This time it was Marco Michaletta receiving the ball from Charlie Ostrom. Near the midfield, spotted Room off his line, launched a stunning long-range strike that dipped into the crossbar. Rowdies held on for a 3-2 road win, becoming the first USL championship team this season to reach 10 victories while staying unbeaten through 9 league road matches. I mean, you want to count this one as a road match. I mean, just going to the next door neighbor over here in Miami. But a 10-man Rowdies survived the heat, the red card, and Miami's comeback. And Marco Micheletto, very pivotal to that. Dominic Casciato praised the Rowdies' character after winning away from home while down to 10 men, pointed the team's discipline, sacrifice, and bench impact, especially for Micheletto. He also shouted out Gennaro Nigro, Carson Henderlong, Lewis Hilton, and Evan Conway as putting solid performances throughout. So there you have it. A solid outing for Tampa Bay. They didn't only have 40% of the possession, obviously being down a man. Miami had over 70% possession in the second half. Didn't do much with it, unfortunately. So Hearts of Lions was also said from Dominic Casciato for Tampa. A really, really solid victory for them. And they are the best team in the USL Championship by a little. I mean, they're only 4 points ahead of the total point tally of Orange County, who are leading the West at the moment, 31 points. But you look at a plus 13 goal differential, the highest out of any team so far in the USL Championship 2026 campaign. Moving on, you had Brooklyn taking on Sacramento over the weekend as well. Oh, sorry, not Sac. I always said Sacramento. I even made a mistake in my notes. San Antonio. Brooklyn taking on San Antonio. They went on the road to Brooklyn. And the only key moment in this one came in the 34th minute. Christian Perano followed up his own rebound, gave San Antonio the 1-0 lead. Brooklyn pushed into the game a bit to make it more open. It's a back and forth second half. San Antonio's defense stayed connected, and Joey Petruni came up with the saves needed to protect the lead. San Antonio held on for a 1-0 win in the first ever meeting between the clubs, improving to a 7-3-7 and staying second in the Western Conference. I'm going to say West wins big. San Antonio responded well after last week's defeat, if you recall, from their side, losing 2-1 to Las Vegas at home, this time going to a tough Brooklyn place. They're typically a pretty solid team. If you look at the home-wise, Brooklyn are better at home than they are away, finding more wins, not much, but 2 wins on the road compared to only one. Sorry, 2 wins at home compared to only 1 on the road for their aspect. But hey, Joey Petrini making 3 saves during his 5th clean sheet season. San Antonio getting a tough road win coming out of Brooklyn with a 1-0 victory. Also on the road, we talk about bookend drama, and Olex Anderson scored inside the opening minute off a Carson Locker assist on their visit to Keyworth Stadium in Detroit. Detroit had the sellout crowd of a little bit over 7,000 behind them, pushed for a response. Early concession, though, put LaRouge in chase mode for the rest of the night, and they made second half chances. They tried to throw in a bit more numbers, obviously outshooting Las Vegas here 12-4. But that shock just took down Detroit early, snapped LaRouge's 3-game win streak. Their slow start proved costly. Danny Dichio pointed to that opening 40 seconds, the moment that decided the match and ended that streak. Tristan Henry came off the bench early after Charlie Lanphier was forced out, delivered a huge performance for Las Vegas, made 5 saves to protect the clean sheet, and helped the Lights hand Detroit their first league home defeat of the season. So shout out to Charlie Lanphier. That's huge when a second string goalkeeper is called upon and is ready. I mean, happens more often than you think, or maybe not. I mean, look back to when Thibaut Courtois dropped out of that Belgium match in the World Cup. The United goalkeeper that came on for him, I think the name eludes me, I think it's Lemieux or something, did not produce a good performance on his end. So you always have to be ready as a goalkeeper. And Tristan Henry was ready, the 32-year-old Canadian, making his first appearance for the club here, coming off the bench, probably wasn't even expecting to play, and boom, has a clean sheet, and restores that. And the Lights are doing well. The Lights are on the up and up at the moment from their standpoint. You look at the table, you look at their form, and you'd say, yeah, this is a team that certainly is turning the tide for them, respectively. 2 wins, back-to-back wins coming against San Antonio, and then now against Detroit. You can even add a 3rd win if you look at the Monterey Bay match that happened in USL Prince Tires, and they take on a Phoenix Rising team that's below them in the table coming up next. So really turning the tide. Before that, they had 2 back-to-back losses, so now 2 back-to-back wins. Could be a team making a push pivotally at the moment in the season. It's very tight in the Western Conference. Loudoun United taking on Indy 11. Indy 11, also finding themselves mid-table in the eastern side of things. Loudoun at the moment at the bottom. They need a win big time. Last time Loudoun won was, you have to really go back quite some time for a Loudoun win in the USL Championship. That happened in May 9th, if you look back. So early May against Brooklyn on the road. This time they're on the road against Indy 11. Indy 11 started with pressure on Michael A. Carroll Stadium. They tested Ethan Bandre several times first half. Loudoun stayed organized. They survived that early push. They nearly grabbed the lead in the 13th minute when James Murphy met Richie Amon's corner delivery, only to see his header hit the crossbar. The red and white did find the winner in the 60th minute. One of the young standouts from last season, Abdulatif Abukra, the Egyptian-American. Kwame Awua picked him out on the left side of the box. Abukra finished to make it 1-0. Indy couldn't get anything. It was Bandre and the Loudoun backline holding on for that clean sheet, that big road victory, grinding it out. The win continued Loudoun's strong head-to-head record against Indy, moving them to 4-1-7 all-time in the matchup. And you have to shout out Ethan Bandre, central to the result for Loudoun. We do need to shout out from Indy's side of things, Paco Craig making his 250th USL Championship appearance on the night. So really joining a small few players that have made that milestone. And from Indy 11's point of view, they've been solid at home all season. If you look at the home record, it was their first time losing at home this entire season. They have one of the best home records, just tied with Detroit, behind Charleston so far this season. So Loudoun spoiling the party, turning the tide for themselves, possibly, as you move forward. They do take on, like I mentioned, coming up next, it will be a Hartford Athletic side in the table, which is, neck and neck with them. And they'll need that because at the moment they're 5 points behind Hartford. So you'll never know what can happen. Rhode Island taking on Pittsburgh Riverhounds at FNB Stadium. Hounds created the better first half chances. They did, force Koke Vegas into action twice before the break. In the 35th minute, Vegas got down to handle Perrin Barnes' low header, then 8 minutes later produced a full stretch save to deny Elliot Goldthorpe's powerful effort from distance. Rhode Island had been quiet going forward, but the visitors made their first shot on target count in the 62nd minute. Nick Scardini dribbled to the box, worked through the Pittsburgh defense at the goal line cross toward the back post. Who else but J.J. Williams to arrive to meet it, heading the ball off the ground into the net for Rhode Island's first ever regular season goal against the Riverhounds in their short history as a franchise. Pittsburgh did push late, but Vegas denying Robbie Mertz from close range in the 85th. And then Chico Dikwa, dangerous effort during a goal mouth scramble in the second half stoppage time. Rhode Island would get that 1-0 win on the road, claiming back-to-back clean sheet victories, moving up to 6th place in the Eastern Conference. Pittsburgh did have the better first half looks, we said, but Koke Vegas kept out the likes of Perrin Barnes, Elliot Goldthorpe the first half, and he also had, obviously, Robbie Mertz, Albert Dikwa in the second. And there you have it. I think, question now, is Rhode Island starting to find its defensive identity at the right time? It looks that way. This was not a match where Rhode Island controlled everything. It was a result on the road that shows a team that can handle pressure, that can stay organized, that can trust their goalkeeper, good goalkeeper that Koke Vegas, taking a big attacking chance when it arrives. Back-to-back clean sheets are exactly the kind of platform that can move a team up the Eastern Conference table. And, they return home after beating Louisville, but cannot make it back-to-back home wins for Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's just been so up and down at the moment between losing to Sporting Jacks, beating Louisville in nice fashion on a national scale. Trevor Havens, fast trick as we call it, and then losing now at home to Rhode Island, second all-time win there at FNB Stadium, first regular season win. And J.J. Williams' milestone just keeps growing. He scored his team-leading 10th goal of the season, reached double figures for the second time in 3 seasons, remains Rhode Island's all-time leading goal scorer with 29 goals, and he's 1 goal away from matching his highest single season Rhode Island, which was 11 goals back in 2024. Remote falling. 2024. So there you have it. And Koke Vegas also reached a milestone of his own, 30th clean sheet in the colors of Rhode Island so far in his career. So there you have it there. Tulsa taking on Lexington. This is what we talked about. It was a 0-0 matchup here between the two sides. Aaron Malloy was receiving the SofaScore man of the match with a rating of 8.0 on the night. Lexington did control the first half. 70% of possession edged Tulsa in shots and box touches before the game flipped after halftime. Tulsa forced the Greens to defend for long stretches. Lexington did, push really late. Tarek Scott smashed the crossbar. Malik Henry Scott and Javane Brown both going close with headers, but the draw finished just 0-0, and Lexington's unbeaten run to 5 matches now. So Lexington and Tulsa trade fouls, not goals, in a physical stand-up. Tarek Scott gave Lexington a real spark off the bench. He did enter in the 57th minute, producing the match's biggest chance when he shot off the crossbar there, but it was a 0-0 stand-up. So Jackelman for Tulsa getting the clean sheet, and Oliver Assembly for Lexington also getting another clean sheet. And like we talked about, table-wise, Lexington at the moment turning over a bit of a new leaf with their results, right? Which is quite solid. There you have it for that side of things. We should mention that Tulsa did bring aboard forward Ordonez midweek. He did. The 22-year-old Guatemalan international has recorded 7 goals previously in the USL Championship for Loudoun United. So he arrives in Oklahoma after spending the last year with the fellow club in Virginia. In 2026, he ranked 2nd on the club in goals and shots and 3rd in chances created, which was 10. Goals were 3 and shots for 21. So across 29 total matches, he tallied 7 goals per minute as a substitute, posing a strike rate of a goal every 100, approximately 70 minutes for Loudoun, respectively. Now finding himself playing for FC Tulsa. Came on as a sub here in the 64th minute, but couldn't get it done. Did have 11 touches, 1 touches in the opposition box, 1 successful dribble, a defensive contribution, but no shots in the night, only 50% accuracy out of the 6 passes that he had. 22-year-old Guatemalan forward. So there you have it, though, making his debut in Tulsa. A couple other matches to cover, and then we switch over to Colorado against Charleston. This was the match that we talk about bookend drama this time for Colorado's sake. But we'll talk first about what happened in the opening minutes. And Alec Hughes made his first start of the year in Charleston's colors. Colorado Springs had the better of the first half. I think Jeremy Kelly made his 100th regular season USL Championship appearance as well. Nearly gave Charleston the early lead in the 8th minute, but his header just went over. From there, switchbacks to control. Speedy Williams, Adrian Perez, Corey Bennett, the usual suspects, getting looks between the 19th and 26th minute. Luis Zamudio saved Bennett's effort, and the match stayed scoreless at halftime, despite Colorado outshooting Charleston 10-1 in the first half, albeit not quality shots, but their switchbacks carried that pressure into the second half. They found the opening in the 56th minute through Adrian Perez. Charleston responded by getting more of the ball, as psychologically tends to happen. They did have 70% of the possession between that 60th and 75th minute. Graham Smith forced 2 saves from Colin Shuttler, and Sean Suber nearly tied in the 76th minute, but Shuttler kept Colorado Springs ahead. Charleston's push did pay off late. Nathan Messer served from the left. Jeremy Kelly connected the move, and substitute Wilmer Cabrera settled the ball before slotting it past Shuttler to make it 1-1. Just when the battery looked set to leave Colorado Springs with a point, Jonas Feldberg struck in the 95th minute on a header, which was really nice to give Colorado Springs a late 2-1 win. And Kelly marked his 100th appearance for Charleston on the night. Cabrera had his 3rd goal of the year. But in the end, it's Feldberg delivering the match win in the 95th minute, turning what looked like a draw into a big home win for the switchback. So, question-wise, did Charleston do enough after halftime to deserve something? They were better after the break, but obviously that was kind of to conceding early in the second half, gaining control, and couldn't hold on. Unfortunately for them on the road here, and Colorado walks away with the win, and there you have it. And that it's a big win. It's a big result for Colorado because it closes the gap a little bit from the Western side of things. They're back-to-back wins, so 3 wins in a row against the likes of Phoenix, against the likes of Miami, and now against the likes of Charleston. So you see what momentum does, and they're trying to close the gap between themselves and San Antonio, who are 3 points ahead of them in second place. El Paso taking on Sporting Jacks. El Paso started at Southwest University Park, found the opener in the 15th minute. Armando Moreno reacting to a rebound off the crossbar, slotting it home. Sporting Jacks had a huge chance to pull lever up to Gabby Torres with whistle for a foul in the box, but Romero coming up with a massive penalty save to keep El Paso in front. Locos put the match away. Eric Cavillo in the 83rd minute, finding a perfect pass to Ruben, who went one-on-one with the goalkeeper, did a nice half scissor, Ronaldo style, like in the 2006 World Cup against, I think it was Ghana, rounded him and finished calmly. El Paso won 2-0, earning its first home league victory since April 4th, and its first shutout since May 27 in the Prince Tires Cup. So a really nice performance there. Penalty save was huge. So Romero delivering that defining moment for El Paso, keep that lead in the game, and they walked away out of there with a 2-0 victory. Was that match in Brazil 2006 against Ghana? I want to just double check real quick what it looked like for them. We talk about they had, where was it here? Just looking at the match. It was against Ghana. There you go. You have it right there. Good to know. I mean, it's one of the great World Cup goals of all time in typical Ronaldo fashion. The OG Ronaldo. Monterrey Bay taking on OC at Cardinale Stadium. Monterrey did have more possession in the first half. Orange County to stay compact, though. They created clearer chances before the break. Liam McKinnon twice forced strong saves from Jacob Jackson. But it was still scoreless at halftime. Then Orange County took control right after the restart. Tom Brewitt settled a loose ball from a Stephen Kelly free kick and fired into the upper left corner to make it 1-0 before Nico Gordon turned Nicolo Chata's dangerous ball across goal into his own net just minutes later. Elijah Paul pulled one back for Monterey Bay in the 88th minute, but Orange County saw it out for a 2-1 road win to extend that lead in the Western Conference. So that strike fast after halftime, extend that West lead. Monterey Bay Monterey Bay, finished with 59% possession, 17 shots compared to Orange County's 8. 6 of those shots finding the target, 31 touches in the opposition box compared to 14 from Orange County, but just lacked a little bit of that finishing touch. We should mention and give a shout out to Wesley Leggett. He had made 100 appearances coming out as a sub here, so it's 100 appearance for Monterey, for not Monterey Bay, for in the USL Championship. So huge there for him. So a lot of milestones as well. We should shout out as always. Phoenix taking on Hartford for the last sort of match, and anytime you see a 0-0 on the board and it involves Hartford, just make sure to know Anthony Sia. That's just going to be what's going to take away the headlines as he typically does in 0-0 draws. Hartford holding firm. It was a hot match in Arizona. Phoenix had better attacking rhythm. They finished the first half with advantages in shots on goals and corners. Sia made a key point blank save in the 39th minute to keep the match scoreless. Second half followed the same pattern. Phoenix continued to push. Hartford leaning on Siaha, compact defensive shape, just walking out of there with the draw as it needed to. Rising finished with a 6-1 edge in shots on target, 6-0 advantage in corners. Hartford just survived the pressure. They said, we'll lean on Siaha and we'll walk out of Phoenix, a hot Phoenix with a draw. And the clean sheet was Hartford's 8th this season. Anthony Siaha was a story for Hartford. He made 6 saves on the night, that point blank save, probably going to be the save of the week in the first half, and he stands tall. And that they grind out that result. Hartford also acquired Adodokan on loan from Lexington. That was reported back on the 24th of July. The Nigerian native arrives in Hartford from Lexington after making 15 appearances for the club in Kentucky across all competitions back here in 2026. He recorded 1 assist. 25-year-old previously recorded 3 goals and 1 assist with Lexington during the 2025 season, including a pair of goals in the USL Championship. So he has made the switch over from Lexington to Hartford for the remainder of the season. And did he appear for Hartford in this one? Yeah, arriving on the scene as a sub, part of a 2-hand sub in the 60th minute. Him and Hernandez coming on the field and pulled out just a simple performance. Won 2 out of 2 ground duels. Did have a successful dribble on the left side. Did finish with the 65% pass accuracy out of 11. And 1 defensive contribution from a clearance. That was a header clearance. Did recovery twice as well. So not too much, but kept things where they needed to be kept. That's for sure. But Sia, certainly the man of the match, both on FOTMob as well as SofaScore. League table-wise, let's just get into it, and we'll talk about next week's fixtures because it's pretty much back to business as usual. We'll start with the West. Talking about those teams getting a lot of those wins in the West, so not much changing. Orange County still head of the table. 17 matches played, 31 points is the key to be at the top right now in the Western Conference. 3 points behind them is San Antonio in second place. Colorado in third place with 25 points. New Mexico didn't play this weekend. They only have 14 matches played, the least out of any team at the moment across both Eastern and West Conference. So there you have it, 14, the least amount of games played. They only have 24 points, which is really good. So 3 games in hand, and if they win all 3, they'll put them at 2 points ahead of Orange County. Think about it. But nonetheless, 24 points out to 14 matches played. In 5th place is FC Tulsa. They're tied in 23 points with Sacramento in 6th. Point behind them is El Paso and Lexington, respectively, in 7th and 8th. And then outside that conference, outside that Western Conference playoff spot, is Las Vegas with 21 points, Oakland with 21 points, Phoenix with 21 points, Monterey Bay in 12th, last place with 15 points. And Las Vegas has a game in hand over their 3 counterparts that are chasing them behind at the moment. On the eastern side of things, Tampa Bay Rowdies, as we said, the first team to reach 10 wins on the season, 35 points, best team in both conferences, respectively, the entire USL Championship. They find themselves 8 points ahead of Charleston and Detroit, who are tied in second with 27 points. Louisville in 4th with 24 points. Pittsburgh in 5th, 23 points. Rhode Island in 6th with 22 points. 7th and 8th spot, 21 points respectively. Indy has the edge over Miami due to goal difference. And Hartford outside of that playoff picture with 20 points, so a point behind Miami and Indy. And then you have a huge bit of a drop from that 9th spot going to 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, so forth. It is 15 points for Loudoun, so they're 5 points behind Hartford. Loudoun sit in 10th place A point behind them is Birmingham with 14. Brooklyn are 12th place with 13 points. Sporting Jacks, 13th place with 8 points, only one win out of the season that came against Pittsburgh back on July 15. And then up ahead, we have a couple things to mention, and it's going to be, midweek matches for the likes of Pittsburgh and Tulsa. That'll take place Wednesday, July 29th at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. Louisville take on Birmingham at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific this Wednesday, July 29th. Then to close out July on Friday, it'll be San Antonio hosting Indy 11, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. Saturday, then, things get busy, and they get busy early, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. Miami hosts Detroit. Loudoun hosts Hartford. Lexington hosts Monterey Bay. Half an hour later, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. Charleston hosts Brooklyn. Birmingham hosts Rhode Island at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. Same time, Tampa Bay Rowdies will host Louisville, and a showdown of the East. Giants, New Mexico United will take on Colorado Springs Switchbacks, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Oakland take on Pittsburgh at the Coliseum at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Same time, Orange County hosts El Paso, and then a half an hour later, you have Las Vegas Lights hosting Phoenix Rising. And then at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, Sacramento hosts Sporting Jacks. And we'll see how things look after another jam-packed week and what news will arrive this week, if any, as it's really just been back to business. As always, thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you're well. Stay fit, stay healthy, eat right, sleep right, still enjoy the summer. You know the drill. Talk next time. All the best. Bye-bye.